Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Kombumerri people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Christy Kijarina. It's Wednesday, July 24. In Squiz Kids Today, Paris Olympics kicks off tonight. A Florida Zoo's heatwave hacks, US presidential race hots up, and AI's mapping Minecraft. That's what's making news kid style.
The Lowdown.
There's big news in the world of politics this week as the current US president, Joe Biden, has decided not to run for a second term as president. Joe Biden, who's been leading the country for the past 3.5 years, has chosen to step down, saying that he thinks it's in the country's best interests. So who's stepping up? That would be the current Vice President Kamala Harris. She is ready to run for president as the Democratic candidate. But hold on a sec, she still needs to get the official thumbs up from the Democratic Party. There might be other Democrats who want to run too, so it's not a done deal just yet. On the Republican side of politics, there's also been some big news. Former President Donald Trump has been endorsed, meaning that he's been put forward by his party as the Republican candidate at a recent meeting called the Republican National Convention. This means he's the chosen one to run for president again. Who do you think will be the next president of the United States? We'll keep you up to date with all the news from the campaign trail as we get closer to the election day on November 5.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Florida, in the southeast of the United States. And while we here in Australia have been shivering through a cold snap, folks in the US are dealing with a heat wave. While people might go to the beach, shopping centre or a movie theatre to cool off, spare a thought for the animals at Florida's Palm Beach Zoo and Conservation Society, who have been regularly facing almost 40 degrees Celsius temperatures. That's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit for our American listeners. But don't worry, the zookeepers are on it. The black bears have their own ice maker and huge piles of ice to wallow around in, while those spoiled sea otters get a daily dose of big fishy ice blocks that they can munch on and roll around with in the water. Tigers are enjoying bony icy poles and frozen goat's milk treats. And the giant tortoises? They get to regularly run, or rather plod, under those refreshing hose sprays. I've stuck a link to an awesome video of the animals chilling out in your episode notes. You can thank me later.
Weird science.
Imagine you're exploring a new biome in Minecraft. You'd use the landscape to find your way around, right? Making a mental map as you go to find your way back through the next time. Well, scientists are using Minecraft to teach computers to create maps just like we do. You see, right now, even the smartest AIs, like in self-driving cars, need humans to give them maps to find their way. But by building complex Minecraft worlds and having neural networks, which are special programs that act like brains, watch recordings of players, scientists have taught AI to predict what's coming next. The neural network figured out where everything was, like trees, rivers, and caves, all by itself. And by learning more about how these complex neural networks work, scientists also hope to discover more about how the human brain works. Mind blown.
Sport time!
We've been counting down for what feels like forever. And while the Paris Olympic opening ceremony is still a couple of days away, Olympic competition kicks off today. Well, at 11 o'clock tonight, Australian Eastern Time, but that's still today, right? And then at 11:30 tonight, Australia take the field against Samoa for our first match of the games in the men's rugby sevens. Other sports that are starting early are archery, handball and football, aka soccer. The early start helps teams manage their busy schedules, especially in sports with lots of rounds or stages like football. And speaking of football, the Matildas will play their first match against rivals Germany at 3 a.m. on Friday. And yes, they will be back in their green and gold kit after being reunited with their luggage that was left behind in Spain when they flew into Marseille on a private jet over the weekend. Whew! So, although I don't usually bounce out of bed at 3:30 on a weekend morning, or any morning really, I will be this Saturday to see the parade of athletes, this year taking place on 94 boats along the spectacular Seine River, passing some of Paris's most iconic landmarks. The athletes' parade will be followed by the first ever opening ceremony to take place outside an Olympic stadium at 4:24 a.m. Australian Eastern Time. Then rest up, people, because Olympic competition will continue for 17 action-packed days. And to make sure you don't miss a moment, because you'll probably need to sleep at some point, each weekday morning we'll be bringing you the Squiz Kids Olympic Sprint. It's a special podcast segment with the big results from overnight, the day's upcoming events, and, of course, the medal tally. I can't wait.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Now that Joe Biden has stepped aside, what is the name of the Democrat who is hoping to be her party's candidate for the presidential election? You'll be hearing a lot more of her name. It's Kamala Harris. Question number 2. Which sport will be the first that Australia will participate in the Paris Olympics tonight? That's right, it's the men's rugby sevens. Question number 3. What is the name of the new podcast segment we'll be bringing you each weekday where you can catch up on all the Olympic news from overnight? Did you say the Squiz Kids Olympic Sprint? Well done.
Shout outs.
It's Wednesday, July 24. World-famous pilot Amelia Earhart was born on this day way back in 1897. Now, Amelia set many aviation records and in 1932 became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. During an attempt to fly around the world later in 1937, Amelia and her navigator, Fred Noonan, disappeared over the Pacific Ocean. And despite extensive searches, neither they nor their plane were ever found, leading to one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Liliana from Girralong, Liam from Forest Lake, Asher from Canning Vale, James from Pacific Pines, Emily from Burpengary, Tyler from Thursday Island, and Izzy listening all the way over there in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Belated birthday shout-outs go to Arlo from Paddington, Bessie from Armidale, Sierra from Tailem Bend, Arush from Forest Lake, and Isla listening all the way over there in Brazil. And today's classroom shout-outs go to Class S3J with Mr. West at Bellbird Primary School, Classes 6C and 6D with Miss Clark and Mr. Bottomer at Wellington Point State School, Class 6E with Miss Evans at Presbyterian Ladies College in Croydon, Class 4-5M with Mrs. McNabb at Albury West Public School, Class 5-6B and Ms. Baker at Our Lady of Fatima Primary School in Rosebud, Stage 3 Blue with Mrs. Cantarella at St. Joachim's Catholic Primary School in Lidcombe. And lastly today, but definitely not leastly, the Southern Riverina homeschoolers. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au or fill out the form on our website. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. Bryce will be back again tomorrow with the Squiz Kids Daily News Podcast. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.